Welcome to Dave Cooper Live, where we feature the people, the product, and the processes helping us all to build it better. And today's we will welcome Glenn Ford, VP of West Coast Operation at Volumetric Building Company, as we discuss the impact and potential Industry 4.0 in the construction sector. The term Industry 4.0 encompasses a promise of a new industrial revolution, one that marries advanced manufacturing techniques with the Internet of Things to create manufacturing systems that are not only interconnected, but communicate, analyze, and use information to drive further intelligent action back in the physical world. Who is Glenn Ford? With over 40 years aerospace leadership experience at leading companies such as Sikorsky Aircraft, I've flown on some of those, Pratt & Whitney, Aurora Flight Sciences, U.S. Air Force, and the B&E Group. His technical experience spans engineering, manufacturing, operations, quality, SCM, ILS, and program management. He's led lean manufacturing methods within aerospace manufacturing systems on a global level, creating self-correcting value streams. He brings a pragmatic approach to management, and today we will break down Industry 4.0 and how advanced manufacturing has everything to gain in this industrialized revolution. But first, we can't do any of that without our sponsors. So a big shout out to Carson Holmquist and the team at Stream Logistics. They are experts in high-stake freight. They're the perfect choice for projects with timelines and specific delivery sequences, shipments with high complexity and unique constraints. The new methods of construction need new transportation solutions, and they are up for the challenge. Reach out to them at streamlogistics.com. And also, we were just talking about you today, Paul Short from CombiLift, who there is the largest global manufacturer of multi-directional forklifts and straddle carriers. CombiLift will help you maximize the capacity, safety, and efficiency of your warehouse and storage facilities. Go to combilift.com and tell them Dave Cooper sent you, and tell Paul I said hello. And Brent McPhail, Brave Control Solutions, where offsite manufacturing systems do more than just improve productivity. Their unique approach to industrialized construction includes a lineup of flexible automation systems for 3D volumetric assembly. Imagine that. Structural insulated panels, finished wall assemblies, MEP component processing, and assembling, kitting, and storage. Let's head over to thinkbrave.com after the show to check them out. All right, without further ado, let's get into it and bring Glenn in. Glenn, welcome to the Dave Cooper Live show. How are you, buddy?
Dave Cooper Live, man. I tell you, I am at the pinnacle of my career being here with you, brother. This is great. Shout out and thank you very much to you and Jennifer for both doing an extraordinary job getting the word out for everybody on how, construction is changing. And, we're leaning forward. Big time kudos to you, too.
Thank you very much. And a big thank you to you for taking time out of your busy schedule to come on the show. Listen, we got a lot to talk about, right, Glenn? So we're going to jump into this right now. We want to know everything about you from the moment you were born to this very moment in time. Do not leave out any of the good stuff from the hospital. We want to have it all, man. And when you come back, we're going to dive into this aerospace stuff a little bit more. But you only got 2 minutes to do it, so floor is yours.
All right. So I came out, already manufacturing something. I know it. I just was too young to remember it. But, I've had a good career in aerospace. Some people say, you never work a day if you enjoy your career. And I got to be one of those very special people. I did work at Sikorsky Aircraft for about 14 years. And ran some major programs out there. One of them noted was the Republic of China. Sent the S-70C-6 and S-70CM-1, both search and rescue helicopters, and also helicopter for detecting submarines and other wildlife in the deep ocean. And then transitioned over to Pratt & Whitney. They make jet engines, for those people who may not know. Real complex devices that we plug onto our wings, and they ensure we go to and fro, both for military and for commercial. As you said, I worked with Aurora Flight Sciences, which was really cool. They're a think tank in Manassas. They also have a place down in Golden Triangle down in Mississippi and West Virginia. I can't speak highly enough of the brain power in that company. doing things that other people just can't do or don't know how to do. Fantastic. And then, as you said, we have to mention B&E Precision Aircraft Components and also another company, Phoenix Manufacturing, both suppliers to the big industry for aerospace. But in that, there's a lot of learning that we'll talk about in a little bit. And then finally, I can't say enough about USAF, United States Air Force, and all my veteran brothers out there and sisters. Thank you for your service. Keep it going strong.
I appreciate your service, as a fellow veteran, to you as well. And I tell you what, I did my fair share of Black Hawk runs into some strange areas. And Sikorsky is an awesome company, at least in my world. But, we're going to look at this, Glenn. Lean manufacturing in aerospace has got to be something to be reckoned with. When you come from the aerospace industry, where you are talking about precision like we don't see in any other industry, to volumetric building, I mean, the transition to you has got to be mind-blowing on how far we have to go to get to where we need to be in this industry, coming from such a high-tech, highly automated process that you came from.
Well, when you start talking about that transition from aerospace to the volumetric modular technology, one thing I got to say is aerospace is a very highly regulated industry. It has to be. When you manufacture an aircraft, the precision is required, so then that aircraft never ever falls out of the sky. Right. There's a great attention to detail during the planning phase to make sure that what you're designing will stand up to the test of time and perform its mission. But that's all, we focus on trying to get those sets of standards or those processes identified by an outside third-party agency, usually like ISO. In this case, aerospace is AS 9100 Rev D. Big words, right? Big acronyms. But what they do there is they set up a process for quality, on-time delivery, and customer satisfaction. That really is the epitome of what those regulations or those standards are all about. Just a fantastic thing to bring over into the construction industry. Not that that's not there. It's a different way that they do it in aerospace. Versus construction. But great stuff so far that I'm seeing, and we'll talk a little bit more about that, I'm sure.
Yeah, we're definitely going to talk about it. Industry 4.0, right? What is it? Let's get into this, because that's kind of going to lead us into all these other conversations. To me, it feels like a new beginning. So let's talk about what is Industry 4.0.
Well, this is the fourth industrial revolution, right? We started first with interchangeable parts in Springfield, Massachusetts, right? Making rifles that you could take different parts and interchange them. So there was Industry 1.0. Industry 2.0 started to get into using, more machined components, lathes, different types of mills, vertical, horizontal mills, different types of machines that would produce products faster. Henry Ford bringing all that together is a good example of putting in a standard line, standard work, making a car one right after the other. You can have it any color you want as long as it's black. But that was Industry 2.0. Industry 3.0 brings you into CNC machining. So you've got computer-aided design and computer-aided manufacturing, machining, all coming together through CNC or computer numerical controlled devices that were attached to these machines, enabling that machine to be able to machine 5-axis parts, which would mean you just take a block of metal and you could hog it out and you could make a part out of a block of metal versus a casting or a forging. And here we are, Industry 4.0. Exciting. I've been to Italy, I've been to Japan, talking about Industry 4.0. It's just an amazing new technologies being brought into the factory for advanced manufacturing around stuff like additive manufacturing. For instance, on your intro, I was watching Black Buffalo. Fantastic. Additive manufacturing. That's Industry 4.0. Mechatronics, robotics, AI. All of these different types of advanced manufacturing techniques are now being brought together, and we're using the internet to help us even further with advancing these technologies and making your factory work more efficiently and just better.
Well, and that's really what it is in an industry that hasn't changed in over really 100 years. Your overview of when you left the aerospace industry to come into here, how much opportunity is there right now in our industry for this Industry 4.0?
Well, let me start with the manual process, right? We have a little mini manual area out in our shop because we're still setting up a portion of our plant. It's fantastic. The mechatronics that we're putting in is phenomenal, and we'll talk about that. But the manual process, the people who are producing a manual box today, you got to give them big kudos. They're putting the boxes out. This industry wouldn't exist without them being the champions of manual. They're helping to drive the industry forward. The next step is to get into this Industry 4.0. And now you're talking about a lot of mechatronics, for instance. The devices that are put together on the floor are a combination of a lot of mechanical, electrical, and hydraulic, pneumatic, all combined together to be able to do a process, to make a process. For instance, auto wall. You've got robots that pick up studs. They bring them down into place. They put them into your top and bottom plates. They're perfect. They go in perfectly square, perfectly parallel. And the nails or the fasteners that go into those plates are inserted within 1 millimeter. Okay, so what does that mean? What that means is you got better quality control because the machine is doing that. The machine is doing all of that work for you. Now, some folks might drive to a conclusion that, well, if the machine is doing a lot of work, you're not going to need people, and that's simply not true. It's that you need a different type of people. Number one, you're going to need folks who really understand the automation process. They understand how to read code. They understand how to troubleshoot and make sure that manufacturing equipment is always running at its optimal. And that's key. We talked about another group who you had introduced was Brave. Brave, right?
They're in the audience today.
These are the folks who help us integrate this hardware, right? They've got that brain power to take all of that mechanical, electromechanical, pneumatic, and hydraulic components and now make all of that, all of those different components sing. And then the faster you can do it, the more efficient that you'll be in actually manufacturing and construction. So how far, I guess the question is, do we need to go in construction? It's always a journey. Traveling down this Industry 4.0 road is like continuous improvement. You never get there. You never really know, because as soon as you think you got to a point where you're fully automated and you're ready to take all of these great devices and machines that you just put on your shop floor, there's going to be something new, another new technology that's going to emerge, and it's going to help you manufacture even greater.
Yeah. So moving it forward, though, how do you see it changing the landscape? Is it going to be very incremental, or is it going to be something that really just comes out of left field with a whole bunch of new people coming into the market?
No, I believe it's going to be incremental, but it's going to be incremental to the point where the owners, the engineers, the technicians, and the managers in each factory accept and bring in that that technology. Now, there's a great barrier to entry, right? And that's going to be something that's going to slow down a lot of people. And in some cases, it's going to dissuade them from really grasping the concept for Industry 4.0. It's an expensive step forward, but in the long run, what this does is it reduces significant cost. It makes a higher quality part. If you make a higher quality part, there's less rework, there's less repair if you have that in your process. And what happens is because you're building a better product, when you deliver it, you set the boxes, they're tighter, they go together very quickly. I'll give you a good example of one of the things we're using here. We have what we call a key interface characteristic, or KIC. That's the interface between one module and another module, or the corridor, or another exterior face. That key interface characteristic is an area that is controlled by engineering, but also controlled by the manufacturing process to make sure that those interfaces are extremely tight. So, that gives you a good example of how Industry 4.0 will help, but it's going to be incremental. It'll be a step at a time. I don't think you're going to see, Industry 4.0 just flooding our industry.
Yeah, for sure. So, all right, listen, everybody, if you're just joining us, we are live on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter. So get your tweets on. And if you're not following Glenn Ford, you know it. You're wrong. You need to follow Glenn Ford and everything they're doing at Volumetric Building Company. They are making big gains and progress in the industry, especially when they bring people on like Glenn that has a background in some of the most highly automated manufacturing processes in the world to help us change the way we look at building and moving things forward. And today we're going to be talking about Industry 4.0. So please hit that like and share button if you haven't done so already, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you have a question, please put a Q in front of it. We will come to you near the end of the show and get to some questions. And of course, we'll do our normal shout outs and hello to all of you that are out there supporting and joining us today. So Glenn, all right, let's start the deep dive into this, because where I want to get to in a few moments is, the standardization of where this is going. But I think first is, the influence of Industry 4.0 in the construction sector. We have, technology, we have robotics, right? We have what else do we have? With the technology, it's really where we need to go with the young minds. We're losing labor. Is all of this going to help us bring the right people back in to drive us forward and help tackle some of this 5 to 7 million, whatever article you read, home shortage we have in the country?
What a great question. I believe people are the reason why we want Industry 4.0, right? It allows us to attract better talent. The talent that we will attract is going to come from places like universities, colleges, community colleges, technical schools. These are going to be the kids and the people who are going to come out, and they're going to be fixing these machines. They're going to be working with all of the programming, working with all of the calibration of the machines. I think that's one reason. But more importantly, advanced manufacturing technicians and a lesser experienced workforce is going to benefit from this as well, right? Right now, if you really take a look at what's happened in the past, many states in the United States have turned their backs on vocational schools. It's not a secret here. Since the 70s, 80s, 90s, the vocational schools have, been less and less in the United States. But now there's this incredible demand for tradesmen and skills and skilled labor. What Industry 4.0 will help America do and help us manufacturers do is to bring in a lesser experienced workforce, bring them into the shop. They're gonna start to get into the machines, learn how the mechatronics work, and then as a result of the on-the-job training and all of the experiences that they'll have in the factory are going to bring those people their skills up to a place where they're actually doing more with less education than ever. So I think that's great. Yeah,
I do as well. And we need to change with the times. Every other industry has. And I think that's super, super important to understand. Mechatronics. What is the definition of mechatronics for people out there that may be tuning in to understand what you mean by that?
It's a contemporary advanced automated manufacturing process and industry, right? It's at the intersection of mechanics, electronics, computing, mechatronics technicians. They all work to create a simpler, smarter systems that assist you in your manufacturing process. It's an essential foundation, I think, for the expected growth in automation and manufacturing. This is definitely, as you said before, something that we can integrate within the construction industry to, instead of just bringing construction inside and doing construction underneath a roof, what we're doing is we're actually manufacturing, the product.
Yeah, for sure. Let's talk about the process of this change in general, right? Applied and incremental automation. One of the things that's happening out there, and we talked to Brave, about this, is do you have to go all in on automation? Do you have to go all in on new systems? Do you have to go all in, on robotics to make big changes? Or, when is the right time to do that, and how do you do it? Thoughts?
Man, that is, again, great question. No, the answer, no, you don't have to go all in. In fact, in my opinion, I think it's smart to take it a bit at a time. I can think of a company that tried to go all in and failed, that we're real close to. There was a glass line, there was a cabinet line, there was a countertop line, wall lines, and there's no plan to incrementally build that capability up in your plant. And when you do that, you become too varied. It's like a shotgun approach. Concentrate on your core competency, and then automate in your core competency. For example, if your core competency is walls or boxes, then focus on bringing in one automated process at a time so you can learn what it does. You can train your people so your folks understand what it does, and then you start to move that process forward, that advanced manufacturing process forward in your plant, where everybody understands how that process works and what benefit you can derive from it. And then after you've got that step under your belt, after you understand what that automation can do for you, now start to build on it.
And I think you really have to understand what your core competencies are and really understand what the product offering is that you're putting out there as well. You really need to know where you're going, don't you?
You do, and there's a plan, right? And Dave, that's a good thing. How many folks do you talk to have great vision but no plan? That happens all the time, right? Okay, and that's leadership's job, right? You develop the vision, and then tactically or strategically, you develop a plan to get there. And when you do that, your chances for success are significantly greater than just trying to meet a vision with no plan. So, that is a very, very important and salient point. I'm glad that you brought that up.
No, it's definitely important, because I think like a lot of people, we're so busy being busy that sometimes, you know where you want to go, but how do you break it down and put a process in place that allows you to achieve those incremental steps that get you to what that vision you had was? And I think that's where it gets hard, because it can be very overwhelming, even for people in this space, when they see what, like you mentioned, AutoVol has done and others out there. I mean, that's one extreme of the pendulum versus, where you could be with your manual approach, and then just implementing BIM, for instance, or just, something as simple as that can change a whole lot and have you building just as quick as some of these fully automated manufacturers are doing.
Well, all your systemic processes, right? BIM, whether you have SAP, Procore, whatever process or systems you might use, that's just a part of Industry 4.0. It's another very important piece of that puzzle. But getting back to where you were leading us, I think was where we go with standardization, right? And how we standardize the work that we do. I like the term standard work. I know a lot of people look at me and they joke with me and they say, hey, you're Mr. Standard Work. Well, that word takes us into the future for sure. It's a controversial term, I know, to many in this industry, because just coming in here, a lot of folks are very concerned about that word standardization. And some say you can't build the standard modules because of the jurisdiction, regulatory or statutory constraints, et cetera. But there is some great truth to that. Here at VBC, our work, our focus on standardization does include some product standardization, but I think it's even more important to emphasize that we are looking at standardization around process, around how you do something to be efficient, quick, less variation in process. So therefore you're creating better quality and you're meeting on-time deliveries.
Yeah. So how does one incorporate standardization into their practices? If you look at that, I mean, again, that's another task that, is definitely going to move us forward. But when you're doing standardization, I mean, you're also looking at designing for manufacturer assembly as well, right? So that DFMA has to be a vision as part of that standardization. Is that accurate?
It is. It goes back to what we talked about in the future. This is great, right? It brings you full circle. You're talking about ISO, right? They set a set of standards, for development, validation of design, document control, record control, manufacturing process planning, and all the way through quality planning and continuous improvement. But DFMA is just a part of lean, right? Lean manufacturing, which is really important for anybody, whether you're manual or whether you're, automated. DFMA is extremely important, or lean manufacturing is extremely important, and DFMA is just a part of it. So for those who don't know what DFMA means, Design for Manufacturing and Assembly. It starts on the engineering. It starts when you put pen to paper. Well, in this case, when you start to go into the computer. But when you're designing, a product, you got to make sure that what you design can be manufactured, and it can be manufactured in a very efficient way, and it can be assembled in an efficient way. So it takes a lot of forethought, and you have to look way down the road. You have to look far in the manufacturing and assembly process to say, when I design this product, can it be manufactured easily? Can it be assembled quickly? How much cost does it take to put the box together, right? But then there are the other things that manufacturers also should focus on, like Kaizen, which is to tear apart a process, review it, and put it back together. Point of use materials, tooling, point of use documentation. Anytime someone walks away from a box greater than 12 steps, hey, you're wasting time, right? That technical experts should be in the box doing their job. And if they have to find things, it's a waste of time. But you see what I'm saying? There's a lot to it.
Another big topic is this whole idea of repeatable construction. Give us some examples of what that would be, because that'd be part of lean manufacturing or DFMA as well, would it not be?
It would be. I have to use the best example I know, being new to the industry. And I'm sure there's so many different repeatable processes out there. But Helena Lidlow, from her past was in Lindbach's. They used to manufacture what they call a bathroom pod. Yeah. So that is repeatable. Every time you manufacture a bathroom pod is exactly the same. And what they do, and in concert with DFMA, is take that bathroom pod, bring it into the module, and plug it in. So just like aerospace manufacturing or automotive manufacturing, you have a bunch of what we call fishbone manufacturing processes going on the outside of the main module. And all of those fish bones are feeding the main module as it's moving down the line. The more offline construction you can do that you can plug into your module, the better efficiencies you're going to realize. That's just the math of it. So, another good example, standardized kitchens doesn't mean that you have a repeatable kitchens. Doesn't mean that you have one kitchen and that's it, because that'd be pretty boring, right? Yeah. But like an automotive manufacturer, right? Ford has, an XL, XLT, and Platinum, and limited sometimes, right? So what are those offerings that we can give you? And then as a customer, they're excited. They come in and they say, oh, okay, well, that's exactly what I wanted. I wanted the lower level kitchen. or maybe they would say, I'm excited because now I really did want this top of the line kitchen. And we already have that designed. We pull those cabinets out. We pull the countertops, the sinks, all of the faucets, all of the ancillaries, put them together in a kitchen, and we're ready to go. So it's not like we're redesigning every single time, every single piece.
Right.
It's just efficient. It's less costly, and it's a lot faster.
Yeah, we were just in London, Glenn, and this was a more of a mid-rise builder using panelization, but to speed up their process, they were building their own little bath pod sections, right? With the kitchen, the sink, the toilet, all on the one wall, ready to go, plug and play. It's repeatable through the whole process. But then you had 20 different combinations of colors and fixtures and handles, and I'm assuming it's a little bit like that in the aerospace industry, right? A plane's a plane. You could have a highly customized plane, or you could have, a plain Jane where you're just strapping some, web strapping on and hoping that you don't have to jump out the door somewhere. But the plane itself is the same.
You've flown on a Black Hawk, and it's a great aircraft. And a Black Hawk is like a pickup truck, right? It's a plane. It's a workhorse, right? But there's so many different specialized missions for that aircraft. And not to get into aircraft, but look at the missions that we had flown in the Mideast. For some of these really contentious missions that we've had, aircraft had to be built super special, so then they can fly in with whisper mode, which is no such thing, but, fly in, do your mission, and then get out without people noticing that you're there. But that takes that's a lot of customization to the aircraft. And as a result, the price is astronomical, right? Yeah. Same thing with the construction industry. The more you customized you get, obviously, the more costly your home's going to be. And then when you get down to the other end of the spectrum, it's more standard and it's less costly. So there are variables between the low and the high. It's just, what does the customer want and how can you deliver it to them? And you want to meet the need. You just want to meet the need every single time. Yeah, another good example, and everybody hates to use the auto industry, but an example of exactly what you're talking about is a lot of people don't really understand that, like Ford and some of these other manufacturers, they have like 10 chassis, and those 10 chassis give them 40 or 50 different looking vehicles, and I think that's kind of the sidebar to, the standardization versus customization. And is there a line between, standard and customized? Can you have both? And I think in some instances you really can. I agree. And, I would comment on, and again, I'm from outside the industry, but I would say, look at the auto industry, look at aerospace. There's a lot of value outside these industries, even the medical industry. Every place you look, you can find value. It's just having, looking for it. You're gold digging, right? Any golden nugget you can find, bring it into the industry. It's important we do that as a modular industry. We all have to be successful. We got to make big changes. We got to do great things and make the modular industry just sing. And I know we can. I know we all have that capability in mind. Well, listen, digging for gold is hard work. Change is hard work, but we have to put in the time and the effort for magical things to happen, like finding that gold nugget. So I don't know. That was my play off what you had to say. Let's hop in and say hello to a few people from around the world. Hey, Osama Labi. Listen, we were just in Switzerland. It was great. We actually had dinner with Osama. He says, hello, everyone from Switzerland 4.0. Very interesting and important. Glenn, you and Osama should know each other. I'm just going to put that out there right now. So if you guys haven't connected, you should. Osama has been in the aerospace for a long, long time. And guess what? He loves our industry. So there's some synergy there, and you guys should talk. Absolutely. All right. So moving on, we have Amanda Alexander. Thank you, Dave Cooper, for the shout out. Stream Logistics is proud to be the sponsor of the show. Yes, Stream Logistics also a sponsor of the show. Listen, and I always say when they log in, I can't do what I do without people supporting us. But there is nobody on this show that isn't here by invite only. And Stream Logistics, they're a young group that are really changing how we do transportation. So we appreciate them joining and saying hello. So appreciate all of you. All right, we got Michael Bruce. Good afternoon from the Gulf Shores, Alabama. Good to see you, Michael. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Put that sunscreen on, would you? Don't want you to get sunburned.
Nolan Brown's tuning in. Hello, Dave and Glenn. Do you know Nolan Brown from ADL Ventures?
Hi, Nolan. Good to hear from you.
Yeah, perfect. All right, we got Gregory Laha. How you doing? Good afternoon, gentlemen. Good to see you, Gregory. We got Thomas Griffin as well here in BC, Canada, Industry 4.0. Excited for this talk. Hey, and guess what, Thomas? We're not done just yet. I have a feeling we might run over on time a little bit with this one, but let's have some fun doing it, right? All right, let's see what else we got going on here. Dave, interesting. We are a QPL to Boeing and Douglas, as well as registered with General Dynamics. Everything being discussed, GCI already does. You'd agree with that, huh?
Fantastic. Yeah, and there you go.
Yeah. Hey, send us some stuff. I'd like to see what you guys are doing for sure. As we learn, I know nothing about the aerospace industry other than I'm happy when we take off. I'm happy when we land. And if I do have to jump out, I'm happy when it's with a parachute on my back. All right. Greg Ugaldi, what's happening? Dave and Jen, great show with Glenn, and welcome back. Thank you, Greg. Glenn, do you know Greg Ugaldi?
Thank you, Greg. Appreciate it. Good to see your face on the screen there.
Yeah. Greg is past chair of the National Association of Home Builders, 2 times around. Hey, wow. Joe Butler. I know I owe Joe Butler a phone call. Love it. Industry 4.0 will be dominated by a group of technologies, and I am really keen to investigate what I think is low-hanging fruit of 4.0, which is creating and connecting two-way data streams. Data goes out to the shop floor all the time, but very little data comes in return.
Wow, Joe, you hit the nail on the head. And that's another thing about Industry 4.0. You're exactly right. And I didn't really emphasize a lot of that. But, the RFI process, getting back to let you know what's happening on the shop floor, we call it QCPC, at least in my book here, which is Quality Clinic Process Charting. The RFI comes in, you keep track of those, and then you Pareto them. So this is good news. Real good comment.
Yeah, it definitely is a true comment. So, Joe, appreciate you, my friend. We got quite a few, Glenn, so you better buckle in. We're going to be here a little bit. All right. It says, hello, congratulations, Glenn and Dave and team. What do you think of the component integration and other to-do great architecture? Let me read that again. What do you think of the component integration and other to-do great architecture? What's your strategy to achieve personalized products with the benefits of mass production? Thank you so much. Go ahead.
Well, Juan, I think if I understand your question right, this makes sense on what we were talking about for the fishbone, process. On the outside of the line, you're manufacturing all of those components. A whole wall gets manufactured in 4.5 minutes, 5 minutes on the line, and then goes into the racks. We put our first coat of mud. We wire it, we do whatever needs to be done on the inside of that wall. And then when that's finished, the entire wall just gets set into the module on the floor. And if I understand your question correctly, you're right. That's exactly the process that we need to follow. Yeah.
Appreciate the comment. Thank you. No stranger to danger. Henry Mickelberg here. I have issues with the term Industry 4.0. Klaus Schwab's Fourth Industrial Revolution 2016. Bought the book in 2017, loved it, read it a few more times, and I can't even burn it. Frankly, construction missed out on the second and third revolutions. Construction 2.0 is more appropriate.
I've heard this before, Henry, I would almost agree with moving into that term, construction 2.0. But in doing that, I think what would happen is we would lose the focus that Industry 4.0 is an actual term that is growing and moving us in the future. So rather than going back to construction 2.0, it'd be nice to see everybody accept Industry 4.0 and then get caught up with it and then move forward.
For sure. All right, you ready to put out your sunscreen? We're going to go down to Cozumel. You want to go to Cozumel today?
Oh, yeah.
Love it. Tim Sims, hello from Cozumel. Most factories that aren't dedicated to medical or hospital can produce 250 to 350 apartments or starter housing units per year. Need to 10 times that plus 2 to 3 times the factory count. Digitization, overused, but yes. Add shifts. Yes, should be able to head count soon. Tech change, yes. Hybrid, multimodal, probably. What else? Is he missing anything?
I think, Tim, you've got a lot of really great points in here. It'd be great to speak with you offline. But you're right. There's a lot to this Industry 4.0, and trying to talk about it in a 30-minute podcast is almost impossible. But what it does do is it whets the appetite for everybody to ask these types of questions. Absolutely.
All right, we're only going to take about 4 more here that I see that are in the lineup. So if you got something and you want us to touch on it, we may have to get to you later, but let's get through a few more here real quick. All right, Pratik, good to see you. Higher customization into products and greater standardization into the process. Thank you for the comment there. Henry's coming back with another question. When do you think we'll have fully digitized supply chain to inform aerospace and automotive style software like CATIA? I guess it's CATIA? CATIA, where everything can be designed and tested virtually.
Boy, that's another great question, Henry. It's a matter, I think, of how fast the construction industry wants to jump in on Industry 4.0. Yep. The more numbers that we get into this process, the more folks we get to push this forward, the faster that this process will go. And supply chain management is a big part of being able to manufacture boxes quickly. If you're doing 2 boxes, there's not as much material. If you're doing 10 boxes a day, there's a significant amount of material that we have to bring into the plant. And moreover, that you have to turn that inventory. You can't just sit on it. So you bring it in, turn it, and get it out. That means the supply chain has got to be ready for this big pull. And it is just a huge benefit for the supply chain.
Yep, sure is. All right, last 2 comments, then we're going to wrap up with, we have a final question to talk about. So be a little over time, but is that all right with you, Glenn?
Sounds good.
All right, Joel Hutchins. What's happening, Joel? My friend from down under. Planes don't need to be contextual and situational relevant in order to perform efficiently. Buildings do. Find the standardization and process through design, the leveraged digital fabrication, and your technology to drive the efficiency. Great analogy with the chassis, Dave Cooper. Hey, compliment from Joel. I'll take that as a good thing.
Joel, you got a good point. But they do need to be contextual, and they got to be building an aircraft. They've got to be perfect every time they go out the door. That's the bottom line. Yeah, perfect is for sure. All right, Bob Bender. What's happening, Bob? Man, I haven't seen you in a while. Good to see you. So why are most solutions being referenced or ERP or large system integration efforts? Where could business intelligence platforms add value rather than ERP solutions? Just an outlier thought. That's a great question, actually. Wow. ERP is sort of the standard enterprise resource planning, which has a lot of materials resource planning inside of it. It also controls a lot of your supply chain. I am with you, Bob. I really, really believe that business intelligent platforms need to be developed to a greater extent. So then we don't have to buy a ERP system and plug different modules on it to make what you want us to make. The challenge I think that I see in front of the ERP producers is being able to make that shift. I'm sure there are many ERP suppliers out there who would disagree, and there would be some that would agree. So I think you bring up a real good salient point. We need to also continue to improve the ERP systems that we have out there today. For sure. Bob, thank you, man. As an industry leader, it's always great when you chime in. So much appreciated. All right. Industry, academia, and government. How can we come together to build it better? Because I think this right here is going to be one of the biggest keys to our success in this industry moving forward. Dave, this is an important part of growing a factory. I don't care what industry you're in. The first thing is, let's talk about the government, your local government, your state government, even the federal government. There are so many different types of grants and monies out there that you can apply for to bring into your factory. For those people who are looking to take that first step into Industry 4.0, I'm here to let you know there's some state and federal grants specifically for this reason that you can apply for. It funds you to get that that device on your floor, that system on your floor, and then in doing so, it cuts your cost. And it creates a little bit less of a barrier to entry for you to be able to move forward. But beyond that, when you're working with the government, and I think from a local standpoint, it's easier to get your permits that you need to get these machines up and running, to get them commissioned. From a state perspective, it opens up doors for different programs that need to be completed from a state level, sort of such as building low-income housing or housing for homeless folks, straight through building different types of student housing. So from a state standpoint, that's a really big advantage. And then from a federal standpoint, again, the federal government is really searching, as well as the state level, to find a solution to affordable housing. So it's really important that we as an industry tie in with our governments, so then we let them know that we're here. We can serve that need, meet that demand with our supply, and then make a benefit. And then lastly, if you don't include your local colleges, universities, and help and speak on behalf of bringing in traditional high schools and vocational schools, that talent that we need is not going to be developed the way that we need it.
Yeah, it's definitely not. And the educational system is so important to this whole change and for Industry 4.0. And I will also say that, man, it would be great if the government doesn't even have to change the code. Just lead the way. Start building using better technologies. Come in on budget. Wow, there'd be a big idea, huh? Save the taxpayers some money. There's other ways to do this without having to have policy change. Just start using our processes. So I love it. All right. I have one last question, Glenn, and we got to wrap up. For yourself, to people that are out there that aren't real believers in the Industry 4.0, there are well, this is how we've always done it. So there's that side of it, right? And there's a big part of that in our industry. And then there's the other part of it where you have younger people coming in and they feel trapped because their company doesn't believe in it, but they believe in it. What do you say to those folks that are out there?
What a great question again. First off, if you've done it the same way you've always done it and you've never changed, one Harvard business study after another is going to show you that you eventually, your business will wither away. You have to keep up with technology. You have to keep up with the times. You have to take a look at ways to reduce cost, and unmanned machining, or in this case, the mechatronics that we have in Industry 4.0 will help you get there. You will make more money in the long run. For the young folks, if I were talking to young Glenn, I would say, don't give up. Don't stop believing. Don't stop moving that needle forward. You are the future of this industry. You are the people who are going to make great changes. And eventually, when you're promoted and you're in a leadership position, remember the lessons that you learned today, because when you get to be as old as some of us more mature folks, you want to take those lessons and apply them with an open mind. Some people say an old dog can't learn new tricks. I don't believe that. And I don't believe that the young folks are not engaged. And they certainly are here at VBC, let me tell you. And they challenge me every day, which is great. So we got to try to move Industry 4.0 forward in construction. I believe it can be done. It's just a matter of whether we have the willingness to be able to take that leap of not really so much faith, but a leap of thought in the future.
Well, that's it. And I'm an old dog and I'm learning something new every day on this show. And I hope everybody out there is learning something new every time we do this show, because it's all about collaborating, discussing, and coming together as an industry to drive this forward. And that's not just amongst ourselves. It's making it understandable for everybody else looking at our industry that doesn't get it. And then obviously the government, the educational institutions, and so on. Glenn, as always, amazing. Good to see you. Thank you.
David, thank you for having me on. And today, like I said, it's a great day for me to be on your podcast. So thank you so much for inviting me on behalf of myself and also VBC. We're always grateful for all the work you're doing, and keep this machine chugging forward. You're doing a fantastic job.
Well, I appreciate that. It means a lot coming from you and the team at Volumetric Building Company. So, all right, Glenn, that's a wrap for today. Everybody else, we're going to see you this Wednesday, and we're going to have a little bit of fun this Wednesday because we will be showing you an interview that we had in London at British Offsite. You think you're doing it right, you should see some of the things they're doing. And they're building a couple 100,000 square foot factory because it's been that successful that they want to share it with everybody that's out there. How cool is that, Glenn?
That's awesome. That is awesome.
Yep, I got to love it. All right, everybody, that's a wrap for today. We appreciate you tuning in. Please hit that like and share button one last time. If you're not following Glenn, you need to go follow him. And if you are not subscribed to our YouTube channel, subscribe. I tell you each time, there's no more excuses. You got to go there. I'm Dave Cooper. I appreciate everything. Glenn, don't go anywhere. I'll come back to you after the outro. And everybody else, enjoy the rest of your day. Bye now.
Bye now.